Hey everybody, I hope you had a really wonderful Wednesday. I had to leave work a little early today and head out to the bank to have my debit card replaced because it had been messed up and I was getting a new one coming in and it wasn't here yet and I had bills to pay. So it was just one more thing that the enemy was trying to do to derail what I'm supposed to be doing. And sometimes it feels like everything just keeps coming at you and coming at you and coming at you, and that the storms don't pass, and that it just seems relentless. And last night, while I was laying in bed, it was around 2 o'clock in the morning, I felt like someone had laid down beside me. And then someone touched my arm, actually grabbed a hold of my upper arm and squeezed it and said, "You're mine now." It was a very sinister voice. And I know from past experience that it was I thought it was a night terror. But when I got myself finally awake, it still felt like there was a presence in the room. And I also remember that just before it happened, I heard scratching sounds, like bugs crawling on something. And I remember from my lessons in church that when that happens, it's the sound of a dark spirit trying to come into our world, or a presence bringing it here, announcing itself. And it is a very terrifying thing. And I just kept calling out to Jesus to rescue me, to deliver me from whatever that thing was that was lying in the bed next to me and had a hold of me and wouldn't let go. And finally, I was able to speak, and I banished it. I said, "In the name of Jesus, I bind you and I send you to the dry, dark places, never to return to me again." And then it left. But there was still this feeling of, I don't know, fear in the air. And I kept saying the verse over and over again, "The angel of the Lord is encamped round about me, and he rescues me." And I kept saying, "God, where are you? Why aren't you here? Why aren't you rescuing me? Why is all of this happening?" And the truth is, God did rescue me. He sent the presence away, and it did not come back. And I was saying, "God, you say you protect me. You say that you watch over me and you keep me safe." And he does. We have to remind ourselves that no weapon formed against me will prosper. It's Isaiah 54:17. It says, "In that coming day, no weapon turned against you will succeed or will not prosper." But that doesn't mean that the weapon will not be forged. It doesn't mean we might not get a bloody lip. It doesn't mean that we might not feel a little bit of pressure or a little bit of anxiety or a little bit of pain. But it does mean that it will not prosper. I prayed and asked God to raise a standard around me, and I asked him to put a hedge of angels about me and not to let this thing, whatever it was, come anywhere near me or come back to me again. And I was very disturbed in my spirit. I did not go back to sleep. I was awake. I've been awake since 2 o'clock this morning. And when I was on my way to work, I was like, "God, why did you let that thing come near me?" I'm certain it was a demon. And God said to me that I'm getting noticed, that because I am sharing the gospel of Christ, the other side is seeing me and paying attention to me. And he wanted me to understand that there were souls attached to the ministry that he's called me to. And then everything changed. And I was ready to fight again, because of people that I may never meet in person, but would hear the gospel of Christ because God had called me to share the good news of the gospel, to be faithful, to share his love with the world. And just as Jesus set his face towards Jerusalem, I have set my face towards heaven. I love telling people about God. I love telling people about Jesus. I love sharing his love with the world. It is the only thing that can truly change us as human beings, can change our behavior, can heal us, can bring hope. I am not quitting. I'm not giving up. You never know who you are. You never know what's tied to you, to your telling your story, to your sharing the gospel of Christ, to your encouraging other people to come to the Lord, to know who he is. It is time for us to quit sitting on the sidelines. It is time for us to stand up and fight. It is time for us to pray. It is time for us to open our mouths and share the story of salvation and rescue that God gave to us personally. Somebody is waiting to hear your story. Somebody is waiting for you to stand up and say, you know what? This is what God did for me. He changed my life. He healed my life. And I can't be silent anymore. Things are changing in our world so rapidly. And people are hungry for the gospel of Christ. They're hungry for the good news. They're hungry for hope. There is nothing but despair out there. But God brings hope. Our stories bring hope. Our encouragement brings hope. Our words that come from God bring hope. We are bearers of good news and hope. Today, I encourage you that no matter what is happening in your life, no matter the circumstances, that you will not lose faith, that you will set your face towards heaven. Just like Jesus set his face towards Jerusalem, you will set your face towards heaven, and you will start sharing your story with people. You will start sharing what you know about Christ. And it may not be a lot at this point. Maybe you're a brand new Christian, you're afraid to share. Don't be. The Bible tells us to study to show ourselves approved so that we will be ready to give an answer to everyone who asks us with meekness and gentleness and fear. And the other things will all come in time. But you can tell your story of how Christ found you, of how someone shared the gospel with you and brought you to Jesus. Share that story. Share that with a friend. Tell someone how your life has changed, what good things are happening in your life right now. Don't quit. Don't give up. I remember reading about someone describing hope, and it wasn't this, fainting, ephemeral thing. It was a fight. Like you had just put your gloves on and you were a boxer and you're fighting and you're fighting, and you may get knocked down and there might be grit in your teeth and your face might be cut because you landed on the ground, but you got back up and you kept punching. You kept fighting. You grabbed hold of it and you didn't quit. You didn't let go. Don't let go. Keep fighting. You will overcome because God promises that we are more than overcomers. You will finish the fight. You will win the fight because God fights for us in the background that we can't see, and he puts the victory into our hands. We just have to keep believing. We have to get back up. We have to keep praying. We have to keep going to church. We have to keep sharing Christ. We have to keep singing praise and worship songs. We have to keep reading his word. We can do this. I believe in you. Keep fighting. Keep sharing your story. The right person is going to show up, and they're going to need to hear it. Ask God to take you to that person, to reveal to you what the right time is, and ask him to give you the words, because there are times in the Bible where God just gave people the words and they had no idea. They didn't know. They had no idea what to say, but God gave it to them at the right time, at the right place, because they had an earnest heart before God. You can do this. I believe in you, and more importantly, the God of the universe believes in you. He loves you. I pray today that you would lend hope to someone, and that you would be kind, because you never know what private battle someone's fighting. Tonight, when you lay your head on your pillow, I pray that you sleep sweet. I pray that peace keeps you, and you lay down in peace and you wake up in peace, that you have dreams, and they're good dreams, and that you remember them, and they guide you, and they give you hope and give you vision. I love you so very much. Good night and sleep sweet.